And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
I'm meteorologist Peter Chan with the National Weather Service, and this is your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on the 4th of July, 2025. And this outlook is for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And to set things up, as of this July 4th, we do have an area of low pressure over the lower Bering, and energy from that's going to slide across the Alaska Peninsula up into the northwest quadrant of the Gulf as we go through the later weekend. Meanwhile, the interior, very warm to hot temperatures, 80s, even near 90 degrees. Just some very high to extreme fire danger. Plus, we have a scattering of some thunderstorms that are initiating new fire starts. So there's issues across the interior spreading westward for reduced visibility and smoke, especially near the active fires. In the meantime, we've had temperatures 80s, 70s, 80s up here along North Slope, Brooks Range. There's going to be a strong cold front sweep across the Arctic coast, North Slope, Brooks Range, Monday into Tuesday, and this is going to knock temperatures down at least 25 degrees, and there's the potential even for some wet snow in the higher elevations of the Brooks Range here by the time that system pulls through into early Tuesday. So that's all stuff to think about. And I should add, you kind of guess it here, the Panhandle is going to get back into a wetter pattern Sunday and Monday as that energy shifts out of the Bering up into the western quadrant of the Gulf, and moisture flows northeastward along the frontal boundary into the Panhandle. So Saturday morning, areas of the Panhandle still VFR. We find some pockets of IFR, Chilkoot White, there Yakutat Bay back toward the coastal mountains there around Valdez, Cordova. Interior, generally VFR, but I have to say locally, poor visibility in the vicinity of these active wildfires. IFR lower Gulf on the North Pacific side, Kodiak Island and the Alaska Peninsula, a lot of IFR conditions, Pribilovs and eastern Aleutians westward along the Aleutian chain. Better conditions along the Chukchi and west coast areas along the Bering, though there could be some localized reduction in visibility, again, either due to some lower stratus fog being near the water and or some smoke coming in from the interior fires. And we have thunderstorms, scattered storms redeveloping along areas of the Alaska Range, upper Copper River Basin, throughout lower middle Tanana, lower middle Yukon, all the way up to the especially southward facing slopes of the Brooks Range Saturday afternoon. So there will likely be the potential for more fire starts. We have heat advisories, red flag warnings in effect for those areas. The Panhandle in the south could see some MVFR conditions, VFR in the north for a time Saturday afternoon, pockets of IFR again along the Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, east side of Kodiak Island, lower Kenai Peninsula, and then broad IFR conditions, the Pribilovs westward, especially through the west half of the Aleutians. Sunday morning, generally VFR conditions across the central northern interior, and again I have to make an exception to that being at least when it comes to clouds, precipitation, but when it comes to fire smoke, you could certainly encounter much lower and poorer visibilities as a result, let alone air quality. We have these warm temperatures going to hold on through the weekend. So that also affects high density altitude. You're going to need more runway length to take off and land. So be mindful of that as you load your plane and unload. So as we go out through the Panhandle, could be some IFR up against the intercoastal mountains along British Columbia, off the Panhandle coast in areas of the Gulf, still eastern Kenai, eastern Kodiak Island, Katmai region, on up the west arm of the Alaska Range, and then out to the west again, the lower Bering from the Pribilovs and Aleutians westward. And Sunday afternoon, we're still going to see potential for some scattered storms popping up here, but that cold front, that's just the hint of it up there. That's going to be approaching from the northwest and sliding across the Arctic coast and North Slope Monday into early Tuesday. Generally, MVFR conditions expected Sunday afternoon in the Panhandle, across the Gulf Coast, southern portion of south central interior. And then we still have the IFR from around St. Paul westward out, kind of broken there up through the western half of the Aleutians. So Saturday, Anaktuvuk Pass, generally VFR, but again, reduced visibility in the vicinity of active fires and the potential for cumulus buildups. A scattered shower thunderstorm could erupt in the vicinity of the pass there Saturday afternoon and early evening. Adigan Pass, same thing, VFR generally expected, but if you're in the vicinity of an active fire, there could be greatly reduced visibility. Also, we have cumulus buildups leading to scattered showers and storms in the vicinity of the pass. Lake Clark and Merrill, we could see a scattered shower storm, especially on the west side of the Alaska Range, Saturday afternoon and evening. MVFR conditions, generally speaking, Lake Clark, Merrill. As we round up, Rainy Pass should generally stay VFR with the potential for scattered shower storm developing along the west side of the pass into the interior. Same thing, Windy Pass, generally VFR conditions expected, but there could be a scattered shower thunderstorm develop either side of the Alaska Range, the northern Talkeetna Mountains, and back on over toward the interior on the northwest side of the Alaska Range. Isabel Pass, we could see a scattered shower thunderstorm develop within vicinity of the pass. There's some active fires north and south of this region, so again, you can encounter lower visibilities and smoke. VFR conditions overall expected Mentasta VFR. Again, a scattered shower storm could develop within the vicinity of the pass in the afternoon and evening. Tanita Pass, generally VFR becoming MVFR, and a chance of an isolated shower storm there. Portage Pass generally should be MVFR on Saturday, VFR west entrance, but becoming IFR along the area there outside Prince William Sound. And then in the far north of the Panhandle at Chilkoot and White, starting off with some lower ceilings. IFR there in the early morning, becoming VFR as the day wears on. Now, to kind of get a sense of what's going on, we have this really warm dome of air over the central northern interior, as indicated by freezing levels aloft above 12,000 feet over the central eastern Brooks Range and along the Beaufort Sea coast. That's why it is so warm up here. You get that compressional warming, the sinking air tends to suppress shower thunderstorm development in this region, at least over here. Now it can enhance it over along the west side of the Brooks Range, which it will be doing here the next couple of afternoons as we go through the weekend. But overall, freezing levels aloft are above 10,000 feet across much of the central and northern interior. Below 8,000 feet here in through the Panhandle, there's a relatively cooler pocket of air of loft, relatively speaking. And then back out here to the west, this is where low pressure resides in the not just at the surface, but in the mid-upper levels of the atmosphere. So we have freezing levels below 6,000 feet along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians before they rise back up 10, 12,000 feet along, and especially southwest of the Aleutian chain. And as far as icing goes, Saturday we have this low pressure here, frontal system extending eastward as that feature works its way northeastward. There are areas of rain and rain showers, so above 10,000 feet because, relatively speaking, we're in summertime now, higher freezing levels aloft, so we expect some moderate icing above 10,000 feet around Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, down to the northern parts there of the Alaska Peninsula, and perhaps a pocket there in the south end of the Panhandle around Metlakatla, Ketchikan above 10,000 feet as well. As for the interior, a scattering of storms along this region here. You could encounter localized heavier downpours as well as frequent lightning and some gusty winds as a result of the convective outflow. And then here are the winds aloft. Jet stream level, we have a low pressure circulation here over the tip of the Alaska Peninsula. We find generally a broad southeasterly flow over the southwest quadrant of the mainland, easterly flow south central, and you can see the high center of the upper level high is right around the eastern Brooks Range up toward Kaktovik, Dead Horse. And as we bring it down to 9,000 feet or 700 millibars, here's that mid-level circulation of the warm influential upper high, so that's causing generally an easterly flow across the Yukon Valley, southeasterly flow, western Gulf up through lower Cook Inlet and across the southwest interior, anywhere from 35 to 45 knots. And as we bring it down to 3,000 feet, we still, the surface high less defined. It's more of a mid-upper level feature, but As we look here, there is a low circulation just north of the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, with this front pulling up across the Alaska Peninsula toward Kodiak Island. There could be some locally stronger winds coming in there. Kennedy Entrance, Lower Cook Inlet there, Kanishak Bay up through the Katmai region, 35 to 45 knot southeasterly winds ahead of that. And as a result, the greatest threat for turbulence, moderate turbulence, on Saturday will be over areas of the southwest extending from the Kuskokwim Delta and Bay down through Bristol Bay, inland from there, including the lower kind of western arm of the Alaska Ranges that dumps down here into the northern Alaska Peninsula, including Kennedy Entrance, Katmai region, Shelikof Strait, and Kodiak Island. There may be moderate turbulence Saturday, surface to 4,000 feet.